So let's first check in with our chief meteorologist, Tim Deegan, and we saw that 5 o'clock advisory come in and that bridge in Tampa already shaken.
Yeah, before we go to the numbers, let's talk about that bridge, because remember, Tampa down south, they are now at their closest point to the eye of the hurricane. So they're about 130 miles east of the eye of the hurricane. In Jacksonville, if this goes as forecast and this close to landfall, I think it will, we will be about 150 miles. So our conditions, again, there's going to be variations, but our conditions will be close to Tampa, but our wind gust, at least widespread wind gusts, may be not quite as strong. Of course, we'll take a close look at that in just a moment, but let's talk about the latest that the Hurricane Center has sent us. As Jeannie mentioned, continues to intensify. Now, for those of you who are wondering, Category 3, if we just go with wind speed, that's 130. The pressure's already down to 951. It dropped in a big way. And remember, typically the pressure is the definer as far as then the winds catch up with the pressure and the storm surge as well. And so more than likely, we'll see another 5-mile-per-hour increase. So more than likely, this will at least be a borderline Cat 4. None of that changes the overall forecast. One other point I want to make, and then I'll bring it closer to home, and that is that even if you don't look at all the numbers, as we've talked about through the decades, just look at the symmetry of the hurricane. If you remember yesterday, we were beginning to see, as it made the turn, these big spiraling bands. Notice how the bands have decreased, and now just this solid, almost ball has formed. And more significantly, if you look closely, what looks like a wobbling eye are actually several vortices within the eye. But notice how just during about the last hour or so, it becomes more of a concentric little pinhole there. That's bad news, unfortunately, because it does support the forecast. Now notice, although this is officially from the Hurricane Center, although they're not showing Category 4, that's because they only show positions about every 12 hours. So in other words, here's the position and then the forecast position for 2 in the morning. This is significant. That's a Category 2, that far inland, and that's because this is moving so fast. Now here you folks are in Waycross and Lake City. Again, the eye wall staying to your west. We'll talk specifically for you as well. But other point I wanted to make is that it's implied that this could briefly become a 4 just before it makes landfall. We do not, I almost hesitate to say this in front of Mother Nature, we don't think it's going to become a Category 5. We'll keep a close watch on it. Notice this is just the variation in where the eye wall will be. That's why Perry and Tallahassee, some of the hardest hit cities, just as a reminder, here's Lake City, here's Gainesville, here's Waycross. We're going to talk to reporters there and talk about that weather in a moment. One more time as far as the overall cone is concerned, and then where this is going to go. Hitting Atlanta hard for as far inland as they are. Okay, the nearest tornado warnings down on the Gulf Coast, both near Tallahassee and near Tampa. This has more significance for us. I'll get to that in a moment. We do have a band of thunder showers coming up. We can't rule out some random isolated tornado warnings. We'll keep a close watch on it, but as this band comes through, at the very least, we're going to get some wind gusts of 45, maybe 50 miles per hour. I'll paint what I think will be the main event this evening. We keep talking about the windiest weather, the risk of maybe the bridges closing, the most widespread potential chance for limbs coming down, trees coming down, and power outages is when this band heads toward our area. Doesn't mean we're going to have tornado warnings, but I think the highest risk of widespread tornado warnings will be as the eye heads north, and then what happens is the final tail swings from the southwest to the northeast. And I'll paint. Doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly like this, but generally speaking, as the eye goes north, that tail will paint our way, which would mean within that 6-hour period we're talking about, the windiest and wettest between 7 and 1, maybe the worst will be between about 9 and midnight. Much more to cover, and we'll do that for you as we go through the evening.